So what do you think? What do we do about this? I'm still a little bit blown away by what Ted Cruz and everyone else had to say yesterday, but you've been there a while. Did you ever expect to see this?
No. So the point I think I'd like to make here is this really not about me. It's about something much deeper here. The question, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that any of these charges would have been brought against President Trump if he had not run for office in 2024?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I believe that too. So November the 15th, 2022, Trump says, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to run for president in the 2024 cycle. Within 3 days of that announcement, Jack Smith was made special counsel. And in about 6 or 7 month time period, 91 felony charges are filed against President Trump, who now wants to run in 2024. In Fulton County, Georgia in August, in Florida and D.C., Alvin Bragg in New York. He was convicted of a felony charge about records that no one in the history of Manhattan has ever been charged with. It was kind of a Frankenstein charge. So I don't think it's an accident that from the time he announced in November to August of 23, that there was an avalanche of legal cases against him that would make it hard for him to be successful in 24. And I think all of us got caught up in that network of trying to take Trump down.
Well, that you and I talk a couple of times a year offline on different matters, like when you're going to Ukraine. I'm wondering whether I've been listened to by Jack Smith, because I don't know if you're wiretapped. I know I talk to Ted Cruz a couple of times a year, and I assume I'm in the files of the now wrapped up special counsel investigation. I think it's outrageous that members of the Senate were surveilled and that Charlie Kirk was surveilled. And I want to get to the bottom of it so it never happens again. Is there resolve in the Republican caucus to do that?
Iron will resolve, because if it can happen to me, it can happen to senators in the future. So I gave you my theory, my belief that this all happened after Trump said he wanted to run again. There's no accident 3 days of announcing that Jack Smith's a special counsel. It's no accident by August of 2023, you got 91 felony charges. You got the Fannie Willis debacle in Georgia. You got Alvin Bragg. The deepest blue places in the United States are going after Trump. Well, what happened with me and Ted and others? They went after my phone records based on the 2020 election. I was the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in January of 2021. I have an obligation under the Constitution to vote as to whether I should certify the election. I have an obligation as the chairman of the Judiciary Committees where I should hold hearings about what happened in the 2020 election. So the fact that they would want to get my phone records and did get my phone records to find out who I was calling and where they were and where I was is a gross violation of separation of powers. So I have Verizon as my phone carrier. Ted Cruz has AT&T, and we now know the subpoena that went to AT&T for Ted's phone records. You know, I'm sure he's talking to you. They refused to comply, saying it violated the speech and debate clause of the Constitution. Now, Verizon did not reach that conclusion. They gave my phone records to Jack Smith 30 months after the election. So, yeah, this should bother him.
That is so wild. And so there are a lot of people around Smith, and it's not just Alvin Bragg, and it's not just the prosecutors in Atlanta. There are people in D.C. who are driving him, and they might be connected to the Biden White House, because we know that some of them went to the Biden White House. The only way to get there is a serious, focused set of hearings, not unlike 1973, summer thereof, when Sam Ervin chaired the 7-person committee. I know that people say, well, we should do it through judiciary. They've got the subpoena power. Stand up a special committee, draw in all the cameras, and make the American people understand.
You heard it here first. I'm on Judiciary Committee, but I'm going to push for this. I'd like to be part of it. The bottom line here is what I think happened is that there was coordination between Jack Smith. Now, we don't know that, but I believe it. I think that Fannie Willis, we know that the guy that got her disqualified supposedly met with people in the White House about the investigation. We know that the number 3 at the Department of Justice left the Department of Justice to go work with Alvin Bragg on a municipal prosecution in New York. So
Yep.
I think there's
And
a lot there.
we also know Jack Smith is not the ideal profile for a special counsel. There have been a lot of them since 1973. He is not the model that you go out and get. So Merrick Garland needs to appear before this committee and answer why him and what did you let him do. And I don't know if that you can subpoena Judge Boasberg, but he signed off on these things. And can you imagine that?
Well, so there's a subpoena for Ted's phone records, 8 of us, who we call, where we're at, and, voicemails, the whole 9 yards. But apparently there was an order attached to Ted's subpoena, Cruz, basically telling AT&T, you cannot tell Senator Cruz for a year about this request because he is there's reasonable belief that he will destroy evidence and tamper with the witnesses. What factual basis did they have for the judge to issue that order? Was that part of my subpoena? That's legal slander. Who the hell is this judge? And why is he issuing an order against a United States senator saying that he believes the senator would destroy evidence and tamper with the witnesses if you told him about the effort to subpoena his phone records, which you're required to do under law? This stinks to high heaven. I want to find out what evidence did he have?
I want to make a last pitch to you. You got a lot of great lawyers in the Senate, yourself included, but you got Tom Cotton and you got Eric Schmidt, and you got Ted Cruz, and you got John Kennedy and Mike Lee, and I could keep going. Make it all lawyers, hire outside counsel, get independent subpoena power, and make them sweat, because one of them will go full John Dean and turn on the rest of them, right? One of them will absolutely do a backflip.
If we don't do it, we're letting, I think, the country down. I love the model you just described. I'm going to push for it. Now, why? Because I think this is an orchestrated effort to destroy Donald Trump in the cradle for his 2024 campaign. And there's an article that came out in April 2nd, 2022, talking about statements by Biden that he was complaining about Garland being too judge-like and not aggressive enough when it comes to going after Trump because he thought Trump should be prosecuted. Biden did. Well, 3 days later, they opened Arctic Frost. So,
and that
3 days after
we've got the outline. We just need to paint by numbers now. The outline is there. Senator Lindsey Graham, thank you for joining me. I hope it's Chairman Graham with the Select Committee before too long, and I appreciate the time today.
God bless.